News from RTV6, working for you.
Breaking news this midday, RTV6 has just learned that the two of the white men accused in this alleged attack on a black man at Lake Monroe have now been formally charged by the prosecutor in Monroe County. Vox Booker says a group of white men pinned him against a tree and shouted racial slurs and threatened to lynch him back on the 4th of July. Today, Monroe County prosecutor filed charges against Sean Purdy and Jerry Cox. Purdy is accused of criminal confinement, battery resulting in moderate bodily injury and intimidation. Cox faces the same charges plus 2 additional counts of battery. Investigators with the State Department of Natural Resources also recommended charges against Vox Booker, but so far he has not been charged. An attorney representing Purdy had previously accused Booker of instigating this attack. We have more on this developing story right now at theindychannel.com, and we will bring you as much information as we can just as soon as it comes into our newsroom. Stay tuned for that. We do want to take a turn right now to our forecast. It is Friday. Todd, people are gearing up for another weekend. It's going to be a hot one, though. What do people need to know?
Yeah, you know, today is probably the coolest day of the weekend if you want to kind of lump Friday into the weekend, as know many people do. And as once we get into the weekend, heat index value is probably close to 100 degrees. Outside right now, we're dealing with just a few fair weather clouds, and this is going to be the picture throughout much of the afternoon hours as we just deal with these cumulus clouds. We're not expecting any rain in the forecast for the day today. That is the good news. And temperatures right now are sitting anywhere from the mid 70s to the low 80s. And if you're in the 70s, it's just because you have a little more in the way of cloud cover currently. Heat index values, not terrible as of yet. The humidity is not really super high throughout the day. Today it's going to come up later tonight and then throughout the day tomorrow when the core of the real hot air starts to build in. Most of central Indiana is dry. We'll be on the lookout here in southern locations for a few spotty showers. You see them moving through Louisville. 1 or 2 may be able to sneak into the Seymour area this afternoon, but most of us should remain dry with the partly cloudy skies and temperatures that'll eventually climb up to about 87 to 90 degrees depending on where you are. Going to feel a little bit warmer than that, but if you have plans this evening, should be just fine. A little on the muggy side. Your 10 p.m. temperatures down to 80 degrees. We'll talk about the heat and humidity that's around for the weekend for you coming up in just a few minutes, Lauren.
All right, Todd, thank you. Police are still looking for a car and its driver in the hit-and-run crash that left a pedestrian dead on the south side of Indianapolis. This happened around 6:30 this morning on Sherman Drive and Candy Cane Drive. That's near Southport Road and McFarland Road. Officers tell us a pedestrian was hit by a red car that drove away and a man died at the scene. Police say that the red car may be missing a mirror and have some other damage. So if you think you've seen that car, please leave an anonymous tip with Crime Stoppers at the number on your screen. It's 317-262-TIPS. New numbers on COVID-19 are just in from the State Department of Health. The rate of new cases and new deaths continues to increase slightly. 747 new cases were reported by the Health Department today, along with 8 new deaths. Some good news, while cases are going up, the hospitalizations are not increasing rapidly so far. As of now, more than 34% of the state's ICU beds are still open. Today is an important deadline for IPS parents who feel uncomfortable sending their kids back into the classroom. Families wanting to use the remote learning option need to fill out an application by today. You should go to the IPS website for more information. At school, students and teachers will need to wear masks, and students will get 1 free mask from the school district. They'll also get mask breaks during the school day. More cancellations because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Fields across the state will not be filled with music this fall. The Indiana State School Music Association has canceled its marching band competitions for this year. That includes regionals, semi-state, and the state finals held at Lucas Oil Stadium every November. Indianapolis, as you may know, is also home to the Bands of America Grand National that brings more than 100 marching bands from all across the country each fall. Their parent company, Music for All, has not announced a final decision on that event. The state's biggest marathon is also a victim of the coronavirus pandemic. Today, Beyond Monumental announced that it would not hold an in-person Monumental Marathon this November. That organization says they felt a deep responsibility to keep everyone involved as safe and as healthy as possible. The Monumental will instead hold a virtual race this year. If you're registered for the race, you can either compete virtually or defer your registration to the 2021 Monumental Marathon. And another big retail store will require customers to wear face masks to help cut down on the spread of COVID-19. Today, Meijer announced that face coverings would be mandatory for customers starting this Monday, July 20th. Meijer joined stores like Walmart, Kroger, Best Buy, Costco, and CVS mandating those masks. We have a list of stores that require you to wear a mask on our website, theindychannel.com. Another record-breaking day in the coronavirus pandemic, and the U.S. is reporting more than 71,000 new cases in a single day. This as hospitals across the South and West fill up with cases in at least 40 states. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest.
Florida is one of the nation's hotspots, continuing to set grim records with 156 lives lost in just 24 hours, its deadliest day. New reported cases there nearing 14,000, the second highest day on record. Statewide, nearly 50 ICUs are at capacity.
Challenges are resources available, whether it's the treatment, whether it's staff to take care of the patients, resources to take care of the patients.
Texas also seeing its deadliest day, the virus taking the life of Annalise Long, a 47-year-old mother of triplets.
That was the hardest thing. Is that she gave it her all.
July is only half over, but it's already the worst month for coronavirus cases in the U.S., with more than 900,000 confirmed cases so far. Deaths from the virus climbing in 27 states and hospitalizations rising in 34, as nearly half the country either pauses or reverses reopening. Dr. Anthony Fauci talking to Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg during a live interview, urging young people, particularly those at bars and beaches, to act responsibly.
You're getting infected is not just you in a vacuum. You're propagating a pandemic.
Meanwhile, the debate over mask wearing is heating up. In Georgia, the battle now a legal and partisan issue. The governor suing Atlanta's mayor for her mask wearing mandate, something he says he will not implement statewide.
I'm not afraid of the city being sued, and I'll put our policies up against anyone's any day of the week.
Mayor Bottom's mask mandate cannot be enforced, but her decision to shutter businesses and undermine economic growth is devastating. I refuse to sit back and watch as disastrous policies threaten the lives and livelihoods of our citizens.
Meantime, the governors of Colorado, Arkansas, and Alabama, who have previously opposed statewide mask orders, have reversed course, now requiring them. Some major retailers like Walmart, Target, and CVS also requiring face coverings. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Well, he has helped make some families of gun violence victims his mission. His reasons for doing so are all personal. Next, why a father is expanding his work to bring that violence to an end. Todd.
And Lauren, the heat is building off to our south and to our west, where temperatures have been in the triple digits for several days. Not there, obviously, yet with the noontime temperatures, but across Dallas and parts of the plains, they'll be in the triple digits. That heat is building our way. I don't think our actual temperature gets to 100 degrees this weekend, but our heat index values might. We'll talk all about the forecast coming up when the news at noon continues right here on RTV6.
Welcome back. A father turning his personal pain into passion and a mission. His son shot and killed during a jazz concert right here in Indianapolis. Our Nicole Griffin shows us one father's mission to help other families who are impacted by gun violence.
Hopeless. He was my only child. He's my only child.
Craig Joseph's son, Christopher C.J. Joseph's life was cut short at just 26 years old when he was killed while attending a jazz concert in 2016 at Watkins Park.
It took me literally 1 year to resolve, pick myself back up. And it was either I was going to sit and continue to lament and be heartbroken, or I was going to do something about it to begin to heal.
He started the Ho-Ha Foundation 3 years ago. Now he meets with families who were in the same situation he was and offers help in financial donations.
Daryl G. Colbert's family, his stepson was shot in Muncie. 25, he was walking away from a fight. He passed away, and we were able to give them a substantial check to help with some of the funeral expenses.
The Ho-Ha Foundation is not only supporting families impacted by gun violence, they are also working to put a stop to the violence. Coming up on July 25th, they are holding a panel discussion on gun violence, and that will include 3 different cities: Chicago, New York City, and Indianapolis.
So our purpose is to talk about some of the best practices in each one of those cities, because these are critical hotspots, because anybody can be shot at any given time. That's what you're seeing across the country. So we really have to be advocates for ourselves and our families first, and then protect one another when we see such violent acts happening.
The following week, on August 1st, the CJ's Love Soccer Tournament will be held to honor CJ's life, a man who loved playing soccer, and also raise money for other families that had loved ones taken too soon. Working for you, Nicole Griffin, RTV6.
Nicole, thank you. Panelists taking part in the discussion on violence and race include community leaders, faith leaders, and even politicians who have donated money that will help go to families through the HaHa Foundation. This will be streamed at 3 p.m. July 25th, and we're going to put a link with how you can watch that on the RTV6 app and also at theindychannel.com. Well, thousands of Hoosiers continue to feel the impacts of the coronavirus. Coming up, the story of a firefighter, his battle back from the virus, and how it affected his family. And let's take a live look outside right now. Todd Clausen is helping you plan your weekend forecast, starting with today, the day he says may be the most comfortable out there for your weekend. We'll have his full forecast and look ahead. When you watch the news at noon, we'll be right back after the break. Welcome back. First responders are out in our community helping others and working with people who have COVID-19. Their daily jobs make them more susceptible to catching this virus. And so our Alyssa Donovan takes us on the road to recovery for one first responder.
Due to their interaction with the public, first responders are more vulnerable when it comes to catching COVID-19. And we spoke with one firefighter who's recently recovered from catching the virus.
Back in March, Deputy Chief Mark Google woke up early one morning with a headache and a fever. He got tested for COVID-19 and it came back positive. His wife Jennifer also caught the virus. Google eventually was hospitalized after catching pneumonia. He's one of 2 Carmel firefighters hospitalized for COVID-19. There have been 17 cases total within the department. 10 of those who came back positive for the virus showed no symptoms at all, which is why fire crews say it's important they are getting tested weekly. However, Google says his symptoms were very prominent.
In that first week, it was like the worst cold or flu that I've had ever. It was just, my bones ached, I had a fever, I would fall asleep with just chills and covered with blankets and wake up in a puddle of sweat. And that just went, and then I'd feel better. The next day I'd feel better, and then the day after that it got worse. So it just kind of came back worse every time. All the typical, lost my sense of taste and smell and all that stuff that you hear, that's all true.
He's since recovered and is back at work. But as someone who experienced the virus firsthand, he wants everyone to take it seriously, especially when it comes to the efforts of wearing a mask. I'm Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. Let's take a turn right now to our forecast. It is Friday and people are making their weekend plans, Todd, and what do they need to know?
You know, it's all going to be about the heat and humidity, really starting this afternoon, Lauren, and then going into the weekend, with Sunday probably being the hottest and most humid of the 3 days. And that's when we'll see some of these higher temperatures that I have listed here as the 105 heat index. That's probably on Sunday. 95 for the high temperature. That's probably on Sunday. Today, we're probably closer to the lower end of the numbers that you see there. But 90 degrees, that's hot for many of you here across the area. And when you throw in the humidity, it's going to feel even a little bit worse. The humidity is going to be kind of on the climb throughout the day today. Live look from downtown to the north on the RTV6 Weather Now camera network, and you just see a few of those fair weather cumulus clouds out there. Not expecting most of these clouds to produce any showers. I'll show you where there's one opportunity maybe in just a second. But right now we're at 83 in Indy, 84 in Bloomington, 82 is the current temperature in Greencastle. Muncie's at 83. You factor in the humidity and the temperatures go up a couple degrees right now for your real field temperatures. But all these heat index values should be in the low to mid 90s as we progress here into the peak heating of the day in the mid-afternoon. Most of central Indiana is just dealing with a few of those cumulus clouds that you saw on the Weather Now camera to the north, but I'll slide to the south, and there was some thunderstorms that went just south of Louisville. And you notice there's a little bit of cloud cover here near the Seymour area. So I wouldn't be shocked, maybe Greensburg to Seymour, but probably nowhere north of that. There could be a quick passing shower today, and that should be just about it. But otherwise, it'll be dry throughout the afternoon and the evenings for us, evening hours for us, with high temperatures in the upper 80s to right around the 90-degree mark. Now, as we work our way into the weekend, tomorrow we're up to 93 degrees. Sunday's high temperatures up to 94. There's about a 20 to 30% chance of a pop-up storm in the afternoon. I really wouldn't worry about the storm chances in the afternoon if you do have outdoor plans. The bigger issue is going to be the humidity and the heat index values. You're going to need to drink a lot of water, stay hydrated, because even if you're just sitting outside, you're going to be working up a sweat very, very quickly, as those heat index values on Sunday will be up in the triple digits most likely. 105 is probably the peak number, but we could potentially get there. And here is TrueCast for the storm chances tomorrow. Again, during the afternoon hours, there could be a stray storm, and that should be just about it. We actually could use a little more rainfall. Obviously, we don't want it on the weekend. The good news is going forward in this forecast, a little better opportunity several days in a row for storms once we get to Monday, and then eventually into Thursday of next week. None of those days are going to be a washout, but at least a little better opportunity to get some needed rainfall here across the area. But until then, it's all about the heat and humidity today and over the weekend. Lauren.
All right, Todd, thank you. Now to some breaking news we are following right now. Moments ago, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg announced that she is in the middle of treatment for a recurrence of liver cancer. However, she says she remains, quote, fully able to fulfill her duties on the court. Justice Ginsburg is 87. She's survived multiple bouts of cancer. She says she began a course of chemotherapy in May after discovering the cancer in a scan in February. She also says that her most recent scan on July 7th indicated significant reduction of the liver lesions and no new disease. Ginsburg also says her hospitalization earlier this week was not linked to her cancer. We'll have much more on this developing story throughout the day here on RTV6. You can also find more at theindychannel.com. Still ahead here on the news at noon, one final check of your Friday forecast as we plan ahead for your weekend. Stay with us. Well, people around the world are finding a different way to relieve their stress during this coronavirus pandemic. But here is something you probably haven't tried. Okay, so here's what this is. Promote Iceland is Iceland's tourism agency, and they want you to scream to relieve your pent-up frustrations. Even if you can't travel to Iceland, to do it, all you have to do is scream into your device, and then your voice will be broadcast throughout the empty Icelandic countryside. A website for the ad campaign shows yellow loudspeakers playing the screams of people from all across the globe in front of peaceful scenery like glaciers, caves, waterfalls. A button at the top of the site invites you to join in with the phrase, tap to scream. All right, there you go, Todd. I know you're an international traveler and you can't do a whole lot of that right now, so there you go.
Yeah, you know, a couple of years ago, I did go to Iceland, so I knew that was coming. I could have had a picture behind me of one of those waterfalls that you saw under the glaciers, and I could just let out a big scream here in my basement. Nobody would even hear me except for everybody watching at home. But by the way, Iceland, a beautiful, beautiful country if you ever get the opportunity to go. With lots of waterfalls, lava fields, and geysers. It's great. All right, outside right now, temperatures are in the 70s and 80s. We'll see temperatures eventually climb up to right around 90 later on this afternoon. And then tomorrow and on Sunday, that's when temperatures will even climb higher, going into the mid-90s by Sunday. It becomes very humid Saturday and Sunday. The humidity is not as high today as it's going to be over the weekend. That puts heat index values, Lauren, on Sunday afternoon, most likely over 100 degrees.
All right. Stay cool, Todd. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us and making RTV6 your choice for news. We hope you have a great weekend.